Welcome again to another LevelUp Networks tutorial. We're gonna pick up where we left off last time in our previous video of how to install Server 2019 on VirtualBox. So as you can see, once it all is installed, you log in into Windows and it will open Server Manager automatically. Now, there's a few things I'd like to do to configure 2019 before we start. So if we just go to local server from within the server manager. So I'm just going to maximize the screen just to make it easier. Okay, so essentially the first things we want to change are the computer name. I want to make sure that we set up a static IP, and I'm going to disable the Internet Explorer Enhanced Security configuration. Now, the reason I do this is it's just to avoid every time we run Internet Explorer, we want to download something, it just prompts you for the extra security, which is, it's a bit annoying. Okay, so let's start with the computer name. So we just click on the name, we go to change, and from here we can change it to whatever we want. So in this case, I would just simply call it Windows 20K19, or let's make it easier, Win 2019. Okay, so we press OK. Now, there's a reason why I leave this as a work group. It's just because we need to promote this machine first as a domain controller, and we will set up our host name from there, and then eventually that will promote not only the domain controller but also join it to the domain. So we're going to do that in a few minutes. So if we press OK, and that will just change our computer name. Now, obviously we need to restart the computer to take place, but we're going to finish it off all the other things first, and then we will restart accordingly. So we'll put restart later. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the Internet Explorer. So I'm going to leave it for users, makes no difference. I don't plan to make a virtual environment out of this in terms of other users connecting to it. So all I want is for administrators, which essentially is us. So let's turn that off and press OK. And now finally, I'm going to assign a static IP. So at the moment is being assigned by DHCP. Now bear in mind that this is a virtual image, so essentially the DHCP is coming from the NAT that we set up in VirtualBox, but we're going to just change that once again. So we click here, we right click on our Ethernet and go to Properties. Now we're going to set up the IPv4. So select it, click on Property. This is just exactly as it works on any Windows system, be it Windows 7, Windows 10, other Windows servers, and of course Windows 2019. So click on use the following IP address, and we're just going to put it on a common network. So that will be 192.168. I'll put it on a subnet that I don't have, so let's say 150, and we'll put this on IP address, I don't know, 10. Subnet mask is automatically calculated for you. The gateway will be this server, or in this sense, we'll leave it, actually, we can leave it empty. And the preferred DNS server, I'll just put Google. And the other DNS server for Google. Okay. Actually, so this would be as it is. Okay. Close. Fantastic. Right. So now, yes, let's restart the machine. Let's just close this and restart. For any reason you want, really doesn't really matter. The stage, and let's continue. So it should come back pretty quickly. Let's just wait for it. Okay, so we're back to the login screen. As I told you before on VirtualBox, you can't just press Control Alt Delete. So we will do it from Input, Keyboard, Insert Control Delete, and we put our password. I just remembered something actually. We can't leave the DNS as Google, and that is because essentially then other servers won't be able to use our DNS server. We won't be able to join the domain controller if it can't find itself. So let's just change that back. So we will go back to here, properties, IP control, fine. So we'll go and we will put the DNS as itself, which is 10, and let's put actually gateway. That's 192.168.150.1. Okay. Fine. Okay. So that is that. We may have to do, as you can see, we don't have internet, and that is because we are using NAT on VirtualBox, but we'll edit that in a minute, and so we will be able to browse the internet. Okay, so we're ready to promote this to a domain controller. Now, in order to do this, we just have to install the actual feature. So let's go to Manage. We will put Add Roles and Features. Okay, I'll put this to skip it. I don't want to see this the next time. So next. Now, you can do a role-based or feature-based installation or remote desktop service installation. Now, in this case, we want to use the default one, which is a role-based or feature-based installation. You go next. Here you select the server you want. So this is the only server, so we can leave it as default. If you had more servers, you can actually select it. So next. Right, so what we want here is the Active Directory domain services. So we tick this. We want to include everything, so add features. And next. Okay, here you would put if you want to add anything else. So what else would we like? So let's have a look. It's handy to have the telnet clients, just in case you want to do some troubleshooting. Other than that, we are pretty much okay. Let's just have a quick look. And that is it. So next. Next again. We can choose it to restart. It's going to restart anyways. So let's tick it. Yes, restart. And let's install. So now it's just going through the basic installation of installing the feature or the role. Shouldn't take too long. And once it finishes installing everything, that should essentially restart our server. And if everything went well, that should pretty much do it. So let's just wait for it. Halfway there, so let's have a look. Taking along. I don't foresee any issues with this, but you know, sometimes it does happen. It does happen, obviously, if it's a fresh install, so that's why I don't expect any issues. But if you were to have this server and you would have played around with it, then yeah, there could be something that this installation does not particularly like, and that's when you would get issues with it and problems which you need to resolve prior to doing this. But if there were an issue, it would let you know exactly what it just doesn't like, and from there you can adjust it. I'm just going to stop this for the time being, and we will resume it once it comes back. So now the installation has finished, as you can see, and we'll press close here. And we have a little notification here on the top, so let's click on it. So the post deployment, so this is what needs to be done in order to finish the installation. So as you can see here, we have promote this server to a domain controller. So we shall do that, promote it. Okay, so we have three options here. We can add the domain controller excuse me, to an existing domain, we add a new domain to an existing forest, or we add a new forest. Now this is literally a blank installation, so we will install it to a new forest. And here's where we put the root domain name of it. Essentially, this is where you put your desired host name. So we're going to call this now LevelUp demo.local. Okay. Now the .local is quite important, and you'll see why later. So next. And there it's going, tweaking along. So after we set up this, I will set up the networking on VirtualBox. That way this machine will actually have internet. Now you see there that the forest and domain functional levels, it's a server 2016. Not to worry, this is a 2019 installation. It's essentially just using the configuration template for 2016. Okay. So here we put our directory service restore mode. So I will put the same as the administrator one. Okay. Does it? Did I typed it correctly? Now we have. Okay, so now we have. So next. Okay, this is essentially, it can't find any other DNS, so we can go next. Now this message is popping up just because, you know, the features are not available. So don't worry about that, you can just proceed. So that's our NetBIOS name, so it's LevelUp demo, which is perfect. Click on next. And the rest should literally be all the defaults. Next. Review the options. Next. This is to make sure that everything is fine. And like I said here, if we click to install, the server automatically will reboot it. So we'll promote and reboot the server accordingly. So we're almost there, guys. Almost there. This should not really take too long. So I'm going to confirm, obviously, that everything's fine first. Okay. So this is just, you know, suggestions. So don't worry too much about them. What we care about here is that we got a green tick, everything checked fantastically. So we click on install. And there we go. It's installing it. And eventually it will promote it and restart the server. Let's wait for it, guys. The next video, just so you know, that I'm going to do is how to add our Windows 10 machine that we have on VirtualBox as well to this particular domain server. That way we will have it on the same network, and they'll be able to, you know, create file shares, user administration, group policies, which we'll go more in depth in other tutorials. This is just strictly just to show you how to set up in the main controller. And the final part of this tutorial will be, like I said, to set up the Windows 10 machine. But before we do that, obviously we have to fix the networking a little bit of VirtualBox. I don't want this to be on my same subnet as my computer is, just because I don't want to create conflict with other things I have. So that's hence why I gave it different subnets, but in order for it to work, we have to fix the networking through VirtualBox. So it's just doing the final steps in order to set up this domain controller. So it shouldn't be too much longer until this machine restarts. I don't want to cut the video because I want you to see all the whole process is going through. Although, you know, it's, like I said before, it's not the quickest of installations. But then nonetheless, it's good to see if anything does come up. And if it does, we can fix it before we close this tutorial so you won't get lost. Fine. So it's finished. It's successfully configured. So now it's going to restart. So click on close. Click on close here. And there it goes. So once Windows comes back up, which shouldn't take too much longer, I'll show you how you can double check if it has successfully added your machine to the domain. Make sure that is actually a domain controller. So we'll have a quick look on the DNS and obviously see if Active Directory is installed correctly. So we're almost there. Let's just wait for it. In the meantime, I'll get ready to input the Control-Alt-Delete. So when we're there, all I have to do is log in. And as I said, it will open immediately the server manager. So we'll do some basic checks there, but I'll also show you where you can also check if Active Directory and the DNS has created the correct forest. It's just applying the final computer settings, and it should take us to the login screen pretty much quickly. It's never too quick when you have to wait for things to happen. So let's go, let's wait. Now, if I recall correctly, in order to get proper networking through VirtualBox in terms of this new subnet, I need to add another adapter, so a second Ethernet card, and configure that adapter to talk to the first one, which is the NAT, and from there we can then sort of bridge them together so that we'll talk. But like I said, I want to ensure this is working fine, and after we do that, we'll go over the networking for VirtualBox. Obviously, if you have a live on-premise server or physical server, sorry, you won't need to do that. This is just because the virtual environment. If you had an on-premise, all you have to do is set up the static IP, as I did earlier, and obviously ensure that your gateway is correct, meaning your router, and off you go. Really, that's about it. All right, so I'm going to stop the video here because it is taking longer than I expected. And I'll start again when we start on the login screen. I'll see you in a bit. So that took a bit, but at least we are back. So like I said earlier, we're just going to log in. So as you can see already, it's showing me as I'm part of a domain with my administrator account. So let's try to put the password correctly. Now, obviously, it's best practice to actually disable the administrator account and create a different username, but we might do that later. At the moment, we're just going to start with the basics. So we loaded the server manager automatically. So if we go now to local server, we've done already the computer name. Okay, so now it does show us already here that we're part of the domain LevelUp demo.local. Okay, but let's see if it's actually installed Active Directory. So we can close this, go to the Start menu, go to the Windows Administrative Tools, and here we go, Active Directory Domain Trust. So let's go to the Active Directory Users and Computers, and there we go, that's our forest. Okay, so we have everything we expect to see. Let's now go to our DNS. So that's our computer name, it's our server. And we can expand the forward lookup zones, and there's our zone. That's our host, which is our server. That's the correct IP address. Okay, so now you know how to add or promote a server with Active Directory. So let's go now and set up the correct networking. Okay, so just to refresh it, our memories, we wanted to set it up on a particular subnet. Oh, it's not liking us, is it? Right. So we have it on the 150 subnet. So in order to change the setting on VirtualBox, unfortunately, we have to shut down the server, which I'll do right now. Let's shut it down. Any reason, doesn't really matter right now. Okay. So once it shuts down, I will go to VirtualBox and set up the NATs and the correct adapter for you. So our server has finally shut down. So what we're going to do is that we're going to set up the networking for both by Windows 10 and Windows Server 2019. So for this, we go to File, Preferences, Network, and here we're going to create a new NAT network. So we click on the plus sign. Okay, once it creates by default NAT network, so let's rename that. So we go to the gearbox here. And, you know, for the purpose of this example, you can call whatever you want, but, you know, for us it will be LevelUp Demo Network. Now, as you can see, the default gateway, or the default network is the 10.0.2.0/24. So, but we want our own. So we set it up the server as 192.168.50. Here's .0.24. So basically it's going to go through that whole subnet. Now we don't want to do DHCP because in the next tutorial we're going to show you how to set up DHCP. So we're going to remove this. So that means that for the time being, we'll have to have a static IP for both the server and the Windows 10 machine, which is fine. So we press OK, and that has created it. Press OK again. So back on the Windows Server 2019, we go to Settings, go to Network. So you can see we have the NATs here, but it's not the one we want. We want the NATs network, which is essentially this one. And obviously, since this is the only network we have, it automatically creates it, which is absolutely fine. So that'll be okay. And we do the same thing for the Windows 10. So select it, Settings, Network, NAT network, LevelUp Demo Network. Okay, perfect. So let's start them both up. We'll put the server first, and then let's put this a bit smaller. Okay, and I will eventually also start the Windows 10 machine as well. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Let's move that here. Okay, fine. Something like that. Let's see if we can see them as much as possible. So essentially what we have to do is once both systems open up, is obviously we need to log in. And once that happens, then we need to set up the networking cards. Now we did that earlier for the server, so we just have to, we will double check that the settings are correct. And then I had previously the Windows machine to get essentially DHCP through the NAT. So we will do that and configure the static IP. Okay, so Windows 10 has already started. So let's go into it. Let's go to the network settings. So network. So Ethernet, unidentify. So as you can see, we got here the 192. That's because I set it up manually before this video. So I will switch that. So this will be the correct subnet. That's correct. The gateway will be .1. The DNS will be essentially our server. And let's put 8.8.8 for Google. We'll save this. Okay. Perfect. Alright, so as you can see, the PC already has internet. So we shall test this. Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Obviously the server's still not up. So we'll let that proceed. It's almost there anyways. Okay, there we go. So let's log in now into the server. So input keyboard, insert Control Alt Delete, and we log in into the server. Okay. We will close this. Right, so let's see what settings here we got. Let's do this time to the control panel. So control panel, networking, network status. Oh, sorry, not there. Oh, yeah. So Ethernet, details. Right, so this has a loopback, so we need to set it up. So go to properties, IPv4, properties. Right. So yes, because I did undo it what we did before preparing for this, so we'll just set it up again. So this will be 168.150.10 subnet 168.50.1 for the gateway, which is the virtual adapter. We'll put ourselves as DNS just because so people can see the domain, and then we'll put Google DNS servers for this secondary. Okay. Yes, close, close, and let's see if it likes us. So at the moment, still nothing. Let's make sure it grabs the details. So 150.10, 150.1, DNS servers, yeah, that seems all fine to me. So why doesn't it have internet? Let's have a look anyways. Okay, so it's just this as being temperamental. That's fine. Let's just say troubleshoot. Ah, there we go. It came in. Took a bit. Okay, so both have internet. So essentially, if I ping now the computer, which if I recall correctly, it is 50. I can see it. Let's go to Windows 10. Oh, sorry, 10. Oh, makes sense. I didn't put ping. There we go. Okay. All right. So we got both server and Windows 10 machine communicating with each other. I guess the last thing that we need to do, as I promised, was to join the Windows 10 machine to the actual domain. Okay. So for you that have not remembered, because they were in a previous tutorial, we type hostname. Okay, that's the machine. Perfect. And now let's open Server Manager so we see all the other details. So local server. Right, so the domain is levelupdemo.local. Right, so to add the Windows 10 machine, it's very simple. I'll do the old-fashioned way. Go to File Explorer, right-click on this PC, go to Properties. So as you can see now, this is on the workgroup. So here on the right-hand side, if you go to Change Settings, so we go to rename the computer, change its domain, click on Change, Domain. This has to be LevelUp demo.local. And OK. Oh, LevelUp demo, is that correct? LevelUp demo.local. LevelUp demo.local. Yes, it is. Right. Let's try this. Okay. Seems to be doing something. Let's wait for it. Now this could be just simply DNS, and I think that's the thing. So if we go here to CMD, if we ping LevelUp demo, if I type it correctly, it might help. LevelUp demo. Yeah, doesn't find anything. Doesn't find anything. So this is definitely DNS side of things. So 150.10. Okay, so we see that's fine. Let's check out, ensure the DNS is set up to our server. So DNS server is 192.168.150.10. Default gateway is 150.1. Okay, that seems fine to me. Ethernet is, yeah, .10. Fine. Okay, I think what might have happened is because obviously the machine came in before the actual server. So let's try to see if we can just flush the DNS. Flush DNS. And let's register the DNS. If this doesn't work, we will try to restart the machine. So yeah, we require elevation. So right click, run as administrator. Yes. So ipconfig register DNS. Okay. So let's try now to ping LevelUp demo.local. And we can. Okay, fantastic. Which means now, in theory, we should be able to register our domain. And there we go. So we have to put LevelUp demo /administrator and the password. Press OK. And welcome to the domain. Perfect. Close this. Let's restart the machine. So the machine's back up. Sorry, it took a few minutes since I last restarted it. Had to do a few things, but let's see if it works. So as you can see, it comes by default to the last account that was used. Hence why I still use my local account, but that will happen, every time. So what we have to do is first we go to other users. Now, as you can see here clearly, it says now here, sign into LevelUp demo. Now, the problem is because our main account on the server, we haven't changed that yet, so it's still administrator. If we type administrator there, like I'll show you right now, if I type it right, administrator, it changes to the desktop, okay? So all we're gonna do here is go administrator at LevelUp demo, and let's log in with the password. Now, obviously, the LevelUp demo, you would have to replace that with your actual domain, but just in case. So I've already tested this, so we want to see the whole welcome screen, which is when it subs up window for the first time. So now we go to CMD, for example. And let's see if we are who we are. Yep, see users, administrator, who am I? LevelUp demo administrator. Okay, so that's it really for now. What we'll do next time is change our username and obviously also play a bit more with Active Directory, DHCP, and all the rest. All right, so I'll leave you, and until next time, thank you very much.